Okay, so let's learn about these different female anatomy structures, just like we did with the male anatomy. Okay, so our first term is the ovary. It's up here. And we're going to see a video of a tubal ligation where you're actually going to get to see an ovary inside. And it's so cool. I think it's one of the coolest things I show you. So the ovaries are what house the eggs. So women are born with all the eggs that they're ever going to have. So it's approximately 300,000 eggs. And then when she gets to adolescence, when she starts her menstrual period, then one is released. We have two ovaries. One is released from each ovary each month. So those of you that are young, you could actually donate some eggs if you wanted to, because they're all in there. It's a big process though, and you have to inject yourselves with drugs, and I believe that you inject yourselves with the drugs in the stomach. A friend of mine did it. She made like $7,000, and however, she had to go through a process. I actually picked her up from the doctors. They went in and they collected 40 eggs from her, but she had to take hormones on the way up, and she did gain weight from taking the hormones. I remember, and her breasts got big because it's simulating a pregnancy. However, she was able to get the weight off very quickly, and $7,000 is a lot of money, so you might want to look into that. This is what houses the ovaries. So in contrast to sperm, sperm is being made every day. Ovaries were born with all the eggs that we're ever going to have. And then when women go through menopause, they stop releasing the eggs, but they still have eggs left over. But as a woman ages, as you know, that they kind of call you a higher risk pregnancy when you're 35. They're saying it's because you're exposed to so many toxins throughout life that the eggs may be compromised a little bit. Okay, let's go on to the next one. So this part is the cervix, and the cervix is the bottom of the uterus. So it has a hole in it. You can feel your cervix if you really wanted to. You would kind of put your leg up on like a bathtub, so it's raised a little bit. And you'd have to really go up there, but it feels like the tip of your nose. That's what it feels like. So if men are entering a woman and they feel themselves hitting something, they're hitting their cervix. A lot of women don't find that to feel very good, so it's different for each woman. So there's a hole in the cervix, and when a woman has a baby, the hole in her cervix is about the size of your pinky nail. So if you look at your pinky nail, that's about the size of the OS. That's where the sperm travels up. That's where your menstrual blood comes down. But when you have a baby, it stretches. So I always tell the men in class that the way that they can understand what it feels like to have a baby is you take the hole in your penis and you need to stretch it 10 centimeters. Which, so imagine 10 centimeters is like I put my hands together and like, I don't know, you guys know what about 10 centimeters is. It's around 6.5 to 8 inches wide, and so that's what happens during childbirth is the OS, which is the size of your pinky nail. It has to stretch, open up to let the baby through. So if a woman has an IUD, they're putting it depends, there's so many different devices, but they're putting a device inside her uterus, and then there will be like a slight string down that's there to let you know that it's there. So a man cannot feel an IUD if you have one. Also, another thing with the cervix is it dangerous for the baby? Can the penis go up and hit the baby? No, it can't hit the baby because this is always closed off, this cervix. Okay, let's go to the next one. The rectum. I don't really have much to say, just like I didn't have much to say about the male rectum, other than, sometimes people enjoy sexual acts of putting an enema up there. Okay, let's see. Vagina. Okay, so what is the average size of the vagina? It's interesting. The average size of the male penis was, if you remember, 5 to 7 inches, and the average size of a woman's vagina when she is sexually aroused is also 5 to 7 inches. That's pretty cool, right? So when a woman gets sexually aroused, what happens is this uterus right here, it draws up into her cavity. So when she is not sexually aroused, this is a little bit lower than what it would be when she's sexually aroused, so the vagina. Now, I told you this before, but I'll reiterate this fact is I thought this was such an interesting fact. Only 1/3 of the vagina has sensation, the first third. So back here, you can literally do surgery with no anesthesia. How crazy is that? So that, again, well, that's why size probably doesn't matter. It's more like thickness that would matter, and it's psychological. Okay, so this is your vagina. So the menstrual blood does come down here, but we do not urinate out of our vagina. So we'll talk about the G-spot, and so supposedly where the G-spot would be is about 1 inch inside on the anterior wall here, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Okay, the anus. So a lot of women find out that they like anal sex. However, to get in here is a little bit difficult. You have to get used to that here. So you would never want to go from the vagina to the anus. I'm sorry, my bad. You never want to go from the anus to the vagina because there's fecal matter that's like up here that gets in there. And then if you transfer that to the vagina like has to have a certain type of like acidity versus alkaline, and like there's certain bacteria that can live up there and doesn't live up there, so you don't want to transfer the bacteria from the anal area to the vaginal area. You could get yeast infections, it can change that, so don't do that. Okay, let's go to the next one. So we've got the urethral opening, so this is where she urinates from. So I get questions like, why does she always have to get up and go to the bathroom after sex? But now when we see this picture, we totally can see why. Because there's thrusting here, right? And look at what it's doing. It's putting pressure on the bladder. And so this will stimulate the bladder, so even if the bladder is not fully full, it's getting stimulated, so she feels like she has to get up. We already went over the fact that the woman's bladder is much smaller than the male bladder. Okay, here we have the bladder. Yep, so there, we learned that. That's what has the urine. And then here, this is the uterus. So the uterus is where the baby grows during, gestation. And also, it builds up every month from, so a common age for a woman to get her first menstrual period is 12. And the common age for a woman to go through menopause when her menstrual period stops is 50. So she's got this uterine lining builds up in preparation to have a baby. And then if no baby implants inside her uterus, then it breaks down each month. Okay, this is the fallopian tube. So where conception takes place, where the sperm meets the egg, is in the fallopian tubes. So the egg is released, and then it goes into the fallopian tubes. Then the sperm comes up, okay, it's ejaculated here, and then it goes through the OS, and then it will travel through the fallopian tubes looking for the egg. So what an ectopic pregnancy is for whatever reason, maybe there was scar tissue, maybe there's some kind of blockage, is the egg was fertilized and then it starts proliferating. So it divides from, the sperm and the egg to 4 cells, to 8 cells, to 16 cells, to 32 cells. And instead of rolling down to implant into the uterus, it actually stays in the fallopian tubes, and it can actually burst the fallopian tubes. They have to take care of that. You'll have serious pain, and they'll have to take care of that immediately. I believe that if they have an ectopic pregnancy that it can't be saved, but don't quote me on that because there's always new advances that I don't know about. Okay, so when we learn about a tubal ligation is they're going to cut this. So you know how we saw the vasectomy? And we went over that procedure. What is the same in women as men is a tubal ligation. So, however, to do a tubal ligation, it's a much more intense procedure. However, it's much more common procedure. You literally have to fill the belly up with gas, and then you have to put a tube inside the belly button, then you have to use a scope, and you're looking for the tube, and then you put the clips on or you cauterize it. Some women that have C-sections, cesarean sections, what a cesarean section is they're going to cut you right about here, and they'll go in and take the baby out. Right about here, they'll go in and take the baby out, and so if you wanted to, if you're already opened up, cut, then you could get your tubal ligation right there. Alright, well, we'll move on to something else in our next video.